Hey everybody, I'm back again. Good afternoon. I hope everybody's had an amazing week. And I kind of just wanted to get on and chit chat a little bit like I like to do. And just kind of update my situation and share some more into my journey. So, as a lot of you guys know, I kind of have been going through. I've been considering it a rebirth. I don't know what else to call it. You can identify with it and label it however you feel comfortable. But basically, what I did was I kind of took a big fat look at myself and situations that I kept getting into and certain types of people that I kept putting myself around. And I kind of took a really deep dive in and kind of faced a lot of like trauma that I had been through throughout my life, and ways that was making me like tick a certain way, ways that was making me like make certain decisions, ways that was influencing me to think that certain types of people were okay, and just everything like that, you know. And it was honestly so much, like so many just months and months that just kind of like led up to that, you know. And I've talked about some of that before in like my previous videos. I know some of them are lengthy, but I definitely feel like it's worth a listen if you have time. But back to my current update. So I kind of realized throughout, I want to say like the past 2 weeks, but like really heavily like this past week, that I had no idea who I was, how to identify with myself after digging through and going through everything that I've went through, all the shedding, all the purging, just, you know, just all the ridding that I did, um, all the cleansing that I've done. But I kind of realized that I don't really, I don't really know exactly. I'm learning, I want to say, how to identify myself as somebody who doesn't identify themselves with their past, to somebody who no longer identifies themselves with the burdens that they carried for so long, right? To be able to identify myself as somebody who doesn't just kind of like fight against gravity, right? It's like my feet are already on the ground. I don't need to walk around with a backpack of burdens or feeling like I have the weight, you know, of so many things just like sitting on my shoulders, right? And so the easiest way I've been able to kind of put some kind of spin on it in my head to kind of help me understand like what I've been going through, because it's like that's what we're all doing, right? We're all just kind of like going through and growing through life. So the best way that I've been able to kind of like break this down for myself would kind of be, it's gonna be basic, it's the way that a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. And so, okay, where and how to start of how I've made this applicable to myself. Um, so we all know that like a caterpillar goes through like this super hungry like feasting mode, right? The caterpillar is just like going around and just like eating everything in sight. They're just kind of like, I know I'm about to go through this big like transformation, I'm about to go through like this big change. So I thought if only it were that easy that we knew, you know, what we were doing and what we were doing it for. But back to the stream of the thought is that applied to ourselves, it's kind of like we can go through this phase to where we're just kind of like gathering all this kind of like information and knowledge, and just kind of like, because knowledge is power, right? And just kind of like applying it to ourselves. So then what the butterfly or what the caterpillar does is he makes like his little cocoon, right? And so he like goes into this cocoon, and it doesn't stop there with the change yet, you guys, with the eating yet. because he like goes into this cocoon, and what he does is he consumes himself. And so relating that back to the rebirthing process, could you imagine what it would feel like to eat yourself? It's uncomfortable, right? It's not going to feel good. It's going to hurt. But if you knew that it was for a change, to be able to, this is making me emotional, to be able to become something bigger and better than you were before, it would all seem so worth it, right? And I think that that's why whenever we're in times of discomfort in our life, we have to remind ourselves that, because it's for something, right? And so within this cocoon, if you actually kind of catch a caterpillar after he's like consumed himself, and you were to like cut open a cocoon, what you would find is basically like this primordial soup of caterpillar, right? But the fascinating thing about that is that the only thing that is not digested from the caterpillar is like these super intellectual cells, these little imaginal discs, right? And so what these cells are going to turn to within this primordial soup of caterpillarness, they're going to be what's turning into the wings, into the eyes of the butterfly, into the legs, right? And so relating that back to us and the ways that like we go through change, we're still us in essence. Even though we transform, we're transforming from a different version of ourselves, right? It's like, but it's like at the same time, you're still you, you know? You just find and become ways to go into better and to grow more, you know? And so it's like, also, it's not healthy to compare your changes and your transformations and your path in life to others' paths in life, because everybody does things on their own time. And even though we all share like this one big commonality, that we're all just kind of trying to get to this destination in life, to this like point of comfort, to where we're all just kind of journeying our way to whatever our personal version of abundance is, to whatever we define as success and joy and happiness. And that's all our main goal, right? Is to just get to where we're going. And so, well, hopefully everybody, but yeah, so relating back to this and how it's not like healthy for us to kind of apply ourselves, or not apply, kind of like compare ourselves and our journey and our growth to other people. It's not really healthy, because relating back to the caterpillars, they transform differently. Not all of them go through that exact transformation that I just said, right? There are some caterpillars that already have their wings underneath their skin in their back, and so it's not even visible to the naked eye. So it's like, could you imagine all these caterpillars just kind of like hanging out, and it's like they're all just eating and stuffing their faces, like the last supper type deal, right? And so it's like, could you just imagine them like conversing among themselves and like gossiping among themselves like we do, like, hey, I heard Katie already has wings, like, so do you have those yet? Like, are we supposed to already have the wings? It's like, am I doing something wrong, you know? It's like, no, because it's like we're all doing things in our own way, shape, or form, right? It's like we are so much alike and of the same, but it's like at the same time we're all so different, right? And like that is that alikeness, but that contrast in differences, that's what makes us all so beautiful, right? The ways that you are just you, those little imaginal discs that you already have, that make your eyes look the way that they do, that are gonna make like your wings look the way that you do, and you're gonna have your own like flutter, right? You know, and it's like that is what's beautiful, is the differences in us, because it's like, could you imagine if we were like, gosh, what was that book, like The Giver, and we were all just the same, you know? It's like, where's the contrast in that? Where's the fun in that, right? In that kind of like grayscale line of thinking. But anyways, so yeah, so it like goes through this transformation, and like relating back to like myself and like what I've kind of been going through is that it's like, it's almost like a different perspective, and not even saying that I fully know how to flutter yet, but it's like I know in the ways that my perspective has changed, that there, and just all the transformation and the discomfort and, you know, just everything that I've gone through like the past X amount of months, it's like I know there's wings sitting on my back, you know? And it's just been it has been just the most crazy, beautiful, you know, time in my life. And it's like, I'm so very grateful that everything that has led me to this point, like the good and the bad, you know, it's been for something. And I really just want to share on that, you know, that it's like whenever you're going through like discomfort in life, and you're not feeling happy, and you're just kind of like really just taking a look at the gears of yourself and seeing what's not working where, and how you can fix it and how you can address it. And change is just always, it's beautiful, you guys. It leaves variety for us, right? It's the ability to paint an amazing picture and then start over with a totally new canvas and something, a totally different theme. And you don't have to answer to anybody, right? And that is like the beauty of being able to honestly just like rock to the beat of your own drums. And so let me see, what else I kind of like got like really into that, and I feel like I just kind of like flooped right out of it really fast. I feel like that's what I wanted to cover about that, but I also wanted to kind of cover on just like the evolution of us, right, of humans. And I remember like talking to a friend like briefly about this, and how it was just like one little spore, you know. And it's just like look at us now, look at our surroundings, look at us as humans, and just like how much we've intellectualized ourselves, and just how much we're growing and the world is changing, and how much smarter we're become, and how much we are like broadening our horizons. And it's like you're seeing that movement everywhere. It's like you can see it in technology, you can see it in your surroundings, you can see the way that it's like all these different like genres, you know, of people. It's like we really are just getting smarter, you know. And it's happening from generation to generation. Like we are still evolving, we're still, you know, we're still growing, we're still learning more things. Like imagine a caveman having a conversation with a caveman, you know. It probably consists of like a few words like fire, eat, you know. And just like look at us now, and just like the ways that we can conceptualize things and the ways that we think. And we have to also realize the way that ego within ourselves was derived from thought, you know. And the ways that your mind is so vast. That doesn't mean that it's going to be vast with only amazing, beautiful, good, you know, thoughts. It's easy to get and feel down and out and confused and wondering where the hell the road is winding to, you know. But it's like at the same time you have to kind of just combat that, and make sure that you're feeding your mind like good, nourishing, happy thoughts, right? That you're not sticking yourself in a rut, that you're not standing still in life, right? And let me see, because it's like if you look at it in an evolutionary way, like I was saying about the caveman, they didn't walk around, it was like so primal, they didn't walk around and like judge each other on the clothes that they were wearing, and the freaking caves that they had, you know, or I mean maybe they were, but it's not the way that all of that hatred and all of that ego and all of that negativity, it's like all that has evolved too from the ways that we have evolved our thought processes. And so you also want to, because knowledge is power, you guys, it's so much. And it's like, if you want to really keep evolving and keep going and growing through life, you have to see the ways to where we've already gotten where we've gotten, and it's so different from where we've been, right? It's just like I was saying, it's not like cavemen, you know, like just ran around and had like these intellectual like conversations. So it's like you have to understand how through that, through the ways that our intellection has evolved, you know, it's with those is that thought evolution. So it's like we're not stopping there at the ego of things. It's I want to say the backwards version of an onion because they have layers, but it's like we are adding to that. It's like, okay, you know, we've developed thought process, and it's like, okay, from that we got a little cocky and we developed ego, and then so it's like we're not supposed to stop there. We're supposed to keep going and growing, you know, and form like this really like beautiful world. I don't know what else to say. Like, we are meant to keep evolving beautifully as humans and become better and grow together, you know? And this is all stuff that I've kind of already like talked about. But just going back to that perspective change and like the caterpillar like versus the butterfly. Could you imagine just like waking up and then all of a sudden you see things from above versus below? Or the difference in what it's like to get from point A to point B from like crawling versus flying, or like what is it like kind of like inching your way versus like soaring. It's like you have to get used to that. And I think that like that I didn't know, you know, that whenever I was kind of like going through and facing through all of the things that I didn't know and wasn't aware that that wasn't where it stopped, if that makes sense. I didn't know that I was just gonna go through these changes and then like things came from that, if that makes sense. I don't know. I thought that I was just gonna be kind of like cleaning out the closet in a sense, but I didn't realize that whenever I did that, how much room I had to hang new things, you know? And just like I know this is getting a little repetitious, but I'm kind of like soaring around this one thought that I'm really trying to but anyways, I'm human. But yeah, and so it's just kind of like seeing things differently from a higher perspective, right? From different angles. And I have just been kind of I've always been the type of person that love to like share my stability with others and love to just share things with others. And it just I always like had it in my head that like everybody is good. And it's kind of sad the ways that I've just been kind of like tumbled around and learned that it's like that's not the case, you know. And not that I was like naive or I like feel bad about myself for like thinking that way, but it's absolutely taught me, you know, immeasurable, you know, lessons from that. And so it's like I said, I don't regret anything that's gotten me to the point to where I'm at in my life, you know, the good things and the bad things. It's like they go hand in hand, and I'm thankful for them both. And okay, so what was the other thing that I wanted to talk about? I feel like I'm not finished yet. We're going on 20 minutes. Okay, yeah, so back to the relationship stanza of it. it's really easy to kind of like be out in public somewhere and like see a couple somewhere just like and being all ooey gooey, you know. And it's just like whenever you're single too, in that it's just like relating from like somebody that was like me, who I loved always to have somebody to like share my stability with, whether it's like family members or friends or like a partner. But onto like the partner like stance of that, it's not sad to be by yourself. And especially like coming from me, it's like I was so used to being like the battery pack in the relationships that I like found myself in. I was like so used to being the trying to just like stretch myself so far and like being the foundation of things and making sure that somebody else is like happy and taken care of. And what I found from that was that I was only ever always showing myself that without me taking the time to do that for myself as well, it always left me feeling unfulfilled, right? Because it's like, to be in a healthy relationship, you should always love yourself first. And it was surprising to me, but I didn't know that I didn't love myself when I didn't love myself. And I've said that in another video before. And you don't really know when you're not doing that. And you don't think that, you know, taking care of somebody and like doing their dishes and like washing their clothes, it's just like, it feels good to like nurture and like help somebody's day be easier, you know. It feels good to me to like be there for others, you know. And especially if find yourself in like situations like I was like saying before, it's like if you don't see your worth, other people will and won't, in this craziest like contrast of a way, you know. And if you forget to take care of yourself, there's nobody that's going to kind of like come along and take care of you too, especially if you're the type of person that's a giver. It's like what is like the easiest way for me to like say this? I've been having to get used to taking care of myself, and honestly knowing that this is an opportunity and this is like a gift to me to just be able to have time to myself, to relax and to nourish myself and to be strong on my own. INDEPENDENT. I was about to say, do you know what that means? But anyways, yeah, it's been so different, you guys. And it's crazy because it's like you don't think about the ways that you have to get used to just being different, right? Just as a human in general, you know. After you go through such a change, like so much transformation, you don't think of the way you're just gonna be like, oh, like I'm gonna be changed, like things will be better. But it's like what you're not thinking about is that you have to get used to that, because it's like you'll be put around certain people and situations and things like, sorry, my phone was like giving me a message that my battery's low. But it's like you'll be put around, like put into situations, and you're just kind of like familiar situations, and you're kind of just like, okay, well, I know how I would used to handle things like this, but I don't really vibe that way anymore, so I think I'm gonna do it this way, you know. Or it's just like, it could be anything from like little to small, you know. And on the other side to that coin, I was also just like thinking, because I had like said in the video that I was gonna post, I had said just like the ways that it feels good to literally just like take care of myself for once, you know, and not leave it open to anybody to do or to not do for me. And how nice it is to just like not have to worry about being somebody's happiness, and not have to worry about being responsible for how somebody's day is gonna feel, and not being somebody who has to like do dishes for somebody, or not being somebody who has to like do laundry for somebody else or clean up after somebody else, you know, just like little small things you don't think about, right? And so it's just kind of like, I've had a really grown up life, you guys, and it's just like so much has led me here to this point in time, and I'm grateful. But what I was thinking to that thought is, I wonder what it's like to be on the other side of that, to be somebody who's like a taker, you know? It's like, I could only just imagine, and like this was the thing, it's like I could only imagine what somebody would have had to gone through, like to go through, to not only feel like, it's like, what is it that makes you feel like you deserve from others, that you deserve for others to take care of you, that you deserve to like make your happiness somebody else's responsibility? Like, what is it that you go through that makes you feel like it's okay to take and not give? Is it that you've been taken from so much that not only do you feel like you have a right to take things from others, but that like it's owed to you, you know? I was just kind of like worried. I was just kind of like wondering about, like, you know, the other side of that coin, the other side of that fence, you know? Just like wondering what that grass could feel like, but I guess it's not really for me to fully know. But it's like, at the same time, I do find comfort in different perspectives, because like I said, like, knowledge is power, and just being somebody who's like myself, there is power in understanding what drives people, whether it's for good or for bad, you know? And just kind of knowing where and why they're functioning from where they're functioning from. It's like there is comfort in that, you know? And like I said, it's like nobody else is your responsibility, and nobody else is, you don't have a right to just kind of go around and take from others. And wow, that's just kind of like bringing me off into like another thought, because it's like I was saying, like giver and taker, and how it's like, if you can't pour from an empty cup, so you always have to take care of yourself first, right? That way that you have like things to share with others. So I'm just like wondering about like people that walk around with this empty cup, and they're just like, yo, you're gonna pour into me, you know? Just like, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to go through life that thirsty, you know, that dehydrated in a metaphorical sense, you know? And that's why I just want to share my journey, you guys. I don't want people to, if it can be avoided, it's like, I know that I'm not the only person that's like gone through these types of changes, but it's like, at the same time, I enjoy sharing my journey with others. If my spider web of a thought mind can help shed some light onto a dark area in your mind, that makes me feel happy, you know? To just kind of be able to share like-mindedness with others, because I know I'm not special. I know I'm not the only person that thinks, oh, there goes my mouth, that thinks things that I think, and I know that I'm not the only person that's gone through things that I've gone through. And you know, I just want to share my journey, and if I could make a difference, you know, here's that like typical saying, if I can make a difference in at least like one person's life, like, that would be immeasurable to me, you know? And I feel like we should always have compassion for people, you know? That doesn't mean that you have to serve yourself on a platter to them, but it's like, we should always have compassion. It's like you're driving down the road, and a light has turned green for 0.2 seconds, and the poison Where did I go? Where did I travel to in my mind? Is that Jay-Z? And like, so anyways, you're like, yeah, so the light's been green for like 0.1 of a second, and like the person behind you is already like honking at you, and it's like, we should have compassion for somebody that just lives that way with no patience, just functioning in each moment of each day on their last nerve. It's like, where did all your nerves go? Like, let's go find the nerves and sweep them up, and you know, it's give them back to yourself. It's like, where did all the nerves go? You know? And it's just like, I'm gonna share like this little thing real quick. It was actually, I think this was like a month ago now, maybe, and I was actually like sitting at a red light, and there was like one truck in front of me, and he had like a couple of tires in like the back of his truck. But anyways, yeah, so it was like 3 lanes, and we were like on the far left, and I saw that like there was like 2 cars like next to him in like the other lanes, like front row, and like the light turns green, and like his truck is so high that I didn't really like notice that it had turned green yet, but I start to see like the people next to me going, so I'm like, okay, like the light's green, you know. And then I went to reach for my horn, and something just told me no, you know. And so I just kind of like looked, and I could see in his rearview mirror, it's like the way that like the sun was shining, it was like he was literally just like taking a second to enjoy the sunshine. And I saw like his face in his rearview mirror, and he was just like, just off into it, just smiling and absorbing, you know. And it's like, how crappy would it have been for me to honk and like abruptly like pull this man from stopping and smelling the freaking roses, you know? It's just be conscious, you guys. Be aware, you know. It's, life is beautiful, and there's always small little ways you can give back, even if it's just by not honking your horn, you know. There's so many other like examples I could just give, but it's like, have compassion for everybody on every spot in their journey, you know. Even though, like I said, we're all like leading towards like this similar destination, you know, to our own way that we label happiness and joy and stability and abundance. But it's like, at the same time, we're all getting there in a different way. Some people might be taking the highway there. Some people are taking the feeder road. Some people might be kayaking there. Some people, you know what I mean, might be getting there through the jungle. You know, we're different, but we're of the same, and there's comfort in that, you know. And anyways, I feel like I've gotten to it. It's about 33 minutes of your day, so if you watch this through, I appreciate you. But yeah, I hope everybody has an amazing weekend, and just thank you for watching. Thank you for allowing me to share, you know. It truly just, it means multitudes to me. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Enjoy your weekend, you guys. Relax. Do whatever makes you happy, you know. Do whatever makes you feel good, and you don't need a reason why. But anyways, love you guys. See you next time.